Okay, so this is the importance of prototyping in design processes. Let's start with the definition. A prototype are early samples, models, or releases of products. They allowed us to test products and product ideas before investing time in our production and resources previous to create a final product. It allowed us to gather insights from users. It allows us to test out all our specs. They are one of the steps of essential steps on design thinking processes. And it's often used in a testing phase, but we can also use it previous to that. So which are the steps from design thinking? Well, first we have to empathize with the user, with the problematic, and then we define all our specs and product features. We ideate all our product features into a product, and then we gather all this information and create a prototype, and we are ready to test it out. So a product per se is a learning instrument. It's a testing tool. It's created to process thoughts and, I don't know, recreate our problems with the application. And then, of course, the more important step is iterate on what we have learned about this prototype. Okay, so why do we need to prototype? As we spoke before, generate empathy for users, and know how they think, know how they proceed. We use them to gather information. Any product could be could learn about the user's needs, and also we can eliminate the unnecessary features. We can create features that we haven't seen before. We can eliminate poor designs, and we also can eliminate previous problems that the application can have. So the benefits are evaluate technical feasibility. This means that we can gather information and also see with the team members, design team members and dev team members, the difficulties on implementation of several features. So this means we could evaluate which specs are we going to do, or which specs are needed for certain plugins or certain technical feasibility as well. So prototypes can help us define and identify unanticipated physical, technical, or financial constraints. A well-designed prototype will enable you to conduct testing for a site's usability, inspect site navigations, convert access information on the site, determine correct placements of visual accents, and what visitors should see first. We are here talking about site design, but we also can apply it to any other app. For one of the most important features that we can have with the prototype is to attract investors and prep marketing stages as well. So in order to get more funding into our projects, mainly we also work with startups. So to prove an idea and get more investments, we need, of course, to show something on which we are going to create this idea. So this could be done with a digital prototype, and also we can do it with, it could be coded, it couldn't be, also we can use no-code tools for it. And of course, the first thing that we can come up with is to test it out with prototyping tools like Figma, InVision App, or XD, or something like that. Before coding is best because, you know, you also can eliminate issues that the product could have. So it made possible to present your future product to potential users, investors, and before the actual launch of the product. You can also create a company marketing campaign to start pre-sales. We can reduce this risk and iterate lower costs. The prototypes directly affects the project resources, time, budgets, and reduces all the risks that we can have. We can manage to budget the application and set up a larger or smaller team. It's possible to estimate every resources that we need before the development. All the information gathered from potential users are ready to create already with the insights that we have, create an iteration and lower costs. We can focus on feedback from the users. Once we have the prototype to test to the users, we can have a scenario in which the users should manage the information needed. It depends on the product, of course, and we can test features. Only one flow, maybe the whole flow. It's not necessary to have the whole application done to test it out. It's really important to test this out with the users because they give us all the insights that we can learn from to iterate a product. The most popular UI prototyping tools are Figma, InVision, Adobe XD. Webflow can be used as well. It's only for sites. Axure, Origami Studio, and Just in Mind. Before we continue with this information, I want to show you one of the prototypes that we have already done. This was made by Bruna. So let's test it out first. So this application is an application for tracking our pills. And what does this mean? Once we have the prototype, as we said before, we can introduce a scenario for your users or for the person who's going to test it out. In this case, is to track different type of medications. Also, it has a mood tracker. You can see elements before the day that you have done elements. So here you can go to another day that you already tracked on. Over here you can track your medication. You also can go to the mood tracker. And a perfect scenario for this could be like you wake up in the morning and you need to test you need to take your pills. You need to place a happy face. So, and the scenario would be, what if you need to track your medicine, how do you do it? So here in the different tools, we can also add medication reminders, add a medication. And as you can see, we can also, this is important also for communication, communicate in between team members, in between designers and developers, because we all can see as well the interactions that we have in these different aspects of the prototype. So that also is a reminder of how we can interact in between team members. Let's go back to the type of prototypings that we can have. I should show you a high-end prototype ready to be tested and ready to be shown for investors as well. You can see, you could see interactions, you could see how does the application work, and the type of animations that is supposed to have. So in types of prototyping, we can also have different type of prototyping. We can have sketches and diagrams. It shows like here in below. These are used just to create like the first iterations, might be ideas, and might be just testing a flow without having a high-end prototype. So this is important in our process design, because we also need to test out and compare features, test out and see if we need some features here, some features there. With the paper interface, we can also build it up to test out a prototype and see if this works. This, of course, could be used with users, but also could be used in a previous stage before users, in which you can show this to team members and see if your idea, you can compare your idea, you can see if that feature could be working or not. A lot of you can iterate the idea even before to present this to a user. So it's important to also have this in as part of our design process. The storyboards allow you to visualize how the users could experience the problems, products, and present it in a series of images and sketches. As a storyboard, you can previously think how the user goes through the emotions as well, and goes through the process of using your app. Like in this example, we can have the interaction of an app of a library, and you can trace up before all the steps that the user has before interacting with the application. So that is also important. In role-playing prototypes, you have, this is more used in service design. It could be a role-playing in which you can test out, I don't know, if you have to take a bus, you can interact with other people and see which is, how is the process before you go and try and pay your ticket, or do you need an app for tracking all your buses? You can trace the trails of the buses. So this could be a way to interact and see previous problems that the user can encounter in your interactions on a daily basis. So It is not always digital products that we test. We also have to test, at least in service design, we also have to test what happens in the surroundings. For physical models, we can have it. This is more related to industrial design, also service design. We can have physical models like here in the other side, and create physical models for our apps as well. This allows you to see and interact with the products and the sections that you have to interact with. Like in this case, it appears to be a section in which you have a service for different personas, and you have to, I don't know, interact with the standing, and you will have to see if the personas have the right height to write down the things that they need. It feels like a delivery section. Then we have the Wizard of Oz prototypes. The prototypes can be apps, of course, and it could be, you can take functions that you can use to test users. The interaction is always provided by a person in the other step of the way of the product. This means that every response that you're going to have is going to be driven by a person. And then we have the user-driven prototypes. This allows us to see and empathize with users, because the interaction here is that the user designs their own prototypes, and you can see, even though if you're not going to use the design of the user, you could see the insights on how the user's process thoughts are. So, well, that is the most important step on the user-driven prototypes. So if you have any other questions, let me know.
Not from my part, Laura.
Yeah, okay. Me neither. I'm fine.
Does anyone has questions? Okay. So thank you, subscribe and like the White From channel, and thank you for all.
Thank you, Laura.